It is that time again for a recording, a broadcast, if you will. It is a live broadcast, but this is a recording for the Marketing XP podcast. I am your host, Rachel Moore. Right now, this should be going out to 3 different places. Basically, we're doing LinkedIn, we're doing Twitch, and we're doing YouTube. Yeah. I don't know why I said YouTube like that, but I did. But yeah, so the way that I've been doing this, I usually go live to do a recording of about 3 or 4 podcast episodes. They're typically pretty short. I believe in brevity. It is the soul of wit, and it's my soul. So I only have so much time in the day, and if I figure if I can't get stuff across within 15 minutes, I lost you. So that's a good marketing tip. I should actually make brevity a topic. But hi, everyone. I am broadcasting this and recording it. Basically, what's going to happen is I am about to do the whole rundown, do 3 different podcast episodes for Marketing XP. And then I'm going to edit them and publish them as podcast episodes individually and also publish those on my blog. So if you happen to be watching this, hi. How are you? I'd love to hear from you in the chat. I will acknowledge you. It's not like I'm just going to record this and pretend like I'm in a vacuum. So if you happen to leave a chat, I will say hi to you. I will acknowledge you. If it works into the podcast, I may leave that in the audio version that I publish. Whatever. You could also find yourself appearing in the transcript. It'd be really cool. But so today, let's get to the gist of this. So for those of you who are not familiar with Marketing XP, it is my podcast about marketing. So I did do a trailer / teaser of the podcast. It's on my YouTube channel, Marketing XP. See how that works? We'll have another episode about that. But essentially, I am mashing up my 2 loves in life, marketing and video games. If you have played video games, or maybe you have a loved one who does, or even if they don't play them and they watch them on YouTube, because that is a thing. You may have heard of XP. Usually XP is the experience points that you rake up in a game, and then that helps you rank up, that helps you level up, that helps usually unlock things and get to unlock levels or bosses or equipment or foraging and stuff like that. It's a thing. So but I also figured, I'm like, well, XP experience. I do work in marketing, and this isn't just for marketing. We've all seen all these acronyms. There's CX for customer experience. There's EX for employee experience. There's CSMs for content. Well, God, no, CMS, content marketing system, content management system. My Lord, there's all the acronyms. That's another podcast episode we'll do. But there's all these XPs. The X is a big thing people like to talk about. That's experience, So, well, it worked. That's what we're doing here today. So I am going to get this rolling here. The first thing we're going to talk about is, and by the way, if you do want to find Marketing XP or literally anything I work on, it's over at my website. But wait, there's more. I'm more. See what I did there? I've got my podcast episodes there. I have blogs. I have many blogs. And I do have an entertainment podcast my family put out during the MCU. So you'll see some stuff there too. But a lot of helpful stuff around social media marketing, just about anything. Marketing XP, though, really does kind of cover everything in marketing. It's not just social media. Because guess what? That's what my career has spanned into. So, all right, well, let us begin. I'm going to kick things off with the first episode of the 3 that I'm recording today. So I'll just kind of record that as if I'm starting it up, and you all get to be and watch, and by all means point laugh if you really need to, but that's what we're doing. Let me open my notes. Why don't we do that? So I use ClickUp. I have shouted my love of ClickUp on former episodes. I think I even did it as a tooltip in one of my first few episodes. I love ClickUp, but that's what I'm using to organize myself. So now I've got my show notes up, so I'm right. All right, let's do this. In this episode of Marketing XP, the power up for this particular episode is going to talk about, yes, you guessed it, AI. Oh my, have 2 letters ever swept the entire globe? They really are. It's saturated everywhere. I feel like that's the buzz acronym that if you want any attention on literally anything you do, AI needs to be part of it. AI standing for, of course, artificial intelligence. And I don't know about you, but of course, my Gen X brain immediately goes to Skynet of the Terminator franchise. That may not be where everybody else goes, but we certainly have seen plenty of movies, science fiction, and prepare for all the sci fi references in this episode. The title of this particular episode is AI. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Yes, that is direct reference to Obi-Wan Kenobi from New Hope, the fourth episode of the Star Wars franchise. That was the first movie released, by the way, because of course you'd had episodes 4, 5, 6. Then they went back and did 1, 2, 3. We try not to reference those as much. They're anyway. They have winning moments. I mean, the Duel of the Fates for one thing, and the Phantom Menace is just about worth the entire movie. I can't really talk about the other what's the movie after that where Padme and Anakin are like rolling together in the field. I'm just like, okay. Anyway, wasn't my jam. Jar Jar Binks, you know. By the way, I'm gonna make a quick aside. If none of you have seen, I believe it was it Andor or no, it was, I think it was Boba Fett, the latest Boba Fett season. The actor who played Jar Jar Binks, and by the way, he got tons of harassment and hate and even death threats. Not his fault. He was doing his job. He actually appears in that season. So it's kind of like a, hey, I get to be a Jedi. And no spoiler. Well, I'm going to spoil this. He gets to be the Jedi that saves Yoda or saves Baby Yoda, Grogu. So there are worse ways to end up. So anyway, like I said, sci-fi references all throughout this episode. Let's talk about AI though. So companies right now, I know if you work at a company, let's do that. If you work at a company, I love when I hit my little boom arm and it makes that lovely little echo noise. So let's try that again. If you work at a company and you in any way have oversight over the content marketing or content creation aspect of your business. Okay, I'm talking to you right now. Some of you work on the marketing teams that make up that content marketing need and deliverables for a business. But I'm talking to the people who oversee. You manage the budget. You get to say yes or no to things, whether it's headcount, it's tools, resources. You have oversight. I am willing to bet that you, at some point in the last 6 to 9 months, have seen these magical letters AI flash across your ether, your perception, and you immediately saw dollar signs because what you saw was just like, oh my gosh, we can get a machine, we can get a tool, a system, a computer, whatever. We can get AI to do our writing for us. That means maybe I don't have to pay for humans to do my writing, or we can actually kind of like make this more efficient. We can downsize. And I mean, and y'all, this is for real because I'm a lot of like you've got writer strikes going on too, and that has a lot to do with streaming residuals. We are recording this during August 2023, but there's also been talk about studios, in Hollywood and beyond, wanting to uh, have AI write scripts instead of humans. Bad idea. I am going to talk in this episode about AI, about where I think the right approach to AI comes in for content marketing, but also the pitfalls of it. It has pitfalls, y'all. Those droids are falling into the pits all over the place, like literally Skynet tripping over itself to fuck things up. So let's just get real about that. But companies, again, you're looking at AI and it's love at first sight. It's like the hottest person you ever saw walked into the room and you immediately you're in love. You'll fall all over yourself. You'll make a fool of yourself. You may say and do things that in about 3 weeks or 3 months you're going to be like, "Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed." That's AI. That's how a lot of companies are reacting to AI right now. Y'all, it's the bright shiny new thing. But you have to be so about it. Just slow your roll a little bit. Just dial it down because I need you to be realistic about the fact that if you still are communicating to humans as your audience, you really do still need the humans. Okay. I mean, what wouldn't love a tool that writes shit for free? I mean, it's great, right? It just accommodates so much. It solves so many problems. it creates them too. So this is not just a like magic wand you get to just like, ooh, I can just erase 5 figures from my yearly budget or more, and now I just have AI write stuff for me. That's not how this works. It can save you money, and it actually can save you, my content marketers, my writers out there. It is super helpful, and I want to be clear about that. But oh my God, y'all, we just need to slow it back, dial it back, and really take a cautious look at AI. And it is not just because Skynet, but we can use it effectively. So let's keep that in mind. So, 3 things about AI. One, there's that ever present challenge of the blank page. For any of you who have had to write anything, particularly with something where maybe that wasn't your first choice to write about that thing, you work for a business, you know you need to write something. You may be like, oh God, I've got to write about something. Maybe I don't know a whole lot about it. I'm not passionate about it, but I know I got to turn this out. That blank page can look super blank and lonely and white. And it's just like, or, if you have dark mode black, but it's empty. I mean, it is like ghost town. Like you are by yourself in a vacuum, and it can stare you down and you get totally stuck. A lot of us in writing have heard the missive that, hey, start anything like that out with dear mom, and then write as if you were writing to your mom, or it doesn't have to be your mom. Maybe it's your best friend, maybe it's your imaginary pet, whatever you want to do. Well, I do believe AI can accomplish that, can overcome that challenge, because it does get us out of the blank page. What's great about AI is you can write a prompt, and we're going to talk about prompts here in a moment, but you can like say, hey, write me this, and it will generate something for you. And guess what? No more blank page. Now you have writing there, and you didn't write it. There's some kind of catharsis there when you have to go in. And I don't know if all of you agree, but I always find it way easier to copy edit than to copyright, because somebody else wrote something already, and now you're going through it and kind of okay, let me fix it, let me tweak it, let me reshape it, let me make it better according to what I think. But that's essentially what AI can accomplish for us. It takes us from blank page to verbosity. We can have all the words. It can save a ton of time there. And I will vouch, I have used AI for that particular reason. Chat GPT. I think a lot of us are familiar with that. That's how we kind of were like, oh, that's how AI writing has kind of come on the scene. Open source. We are, like I said, going to touch on that in a moment. There are pitfalls. But there's nothing cooler than when you can do that. So I'm actually going to share my screen here. Let me go ahead and do that. Share the screen. What's beautiful about this is y'all are just going to be fine and deal with it. Okay, presentation. So your presentation. No, I don't want to do that. No, I want to do this. I want to share my screen. I haven't used Restream in a little bit. Oh, you're so mean. Google. Okay, apparently I have to open my system settings. Y'all get to go on this trip with me. Yep, I want Google Chrome to record the content on my screen. Yes, I really don't know why that wasn't okay. I have to quit and reopen, really? Oh my God. Well, let's see if this works. How unfortunate. Let me try this again. I'm going to try to share my screen. There we go. Maybe it'll do it. All right. I'm going to get this up on the screen here, y'all. Boop. All right, so Chat GPT. So you can see I have a Chat GPT window open here. I did sign up for this, like I think right out the gate. I don't know if they're still throttling like people having to be able to sign up for it. I'm using the free Chat GPT 3.5. I do not use the premium GPT 4. You will see possibly that I have used ChatGPT a ton, and I have blogged about this to write cover letters because I hate cover letters. I think they're stupid. I would love someone to comment to me if you actually read cover letters. That would be neat to actually hear that testimony. I see Sandy, by the way. I'm going to pause there and say, Sandy, studios will need humans to clean up AI scripts. It seems short-sighted to alienate them. Yes, it does. And she says this, when I was in China, I saw how badly translations could go. AI is not different. Sandy, absolutely right. There are major pitfalls to this. It's like when people use Google Translate, like, oh, well, that's translated. I'm done. You're not. It's not perfect. You're never going to replace someone who is a native language speaker for whatever you're trying to do and have them add. There's colloquialisms. There's regional aspects to it. All that stuff they know more than Google Chrome. Okay, and a human is going to know more than AI. Now, ChatGPT is one of those AI tools out there. It is open source. What that means, it's calling the entire public internet to put together things saying, "Hey, if you ask me something, it's kind of like Google search results. It's going to pull whatever makes sense and maybe whatever algorithmically is right there and makes it has the most hits on it and stuff like that." Does that mean it's right? Uh-uh. But like I said, if your goal is to get from empty page to stuff on the page, that's doable. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to write this in. Write me some podcast show notes about AI. These aren't the droids you're looking for. Make sure to mention that, let's see, AI should be copy edited. Okay, that's my prompt. I'm just typing into ChatGPT and I'm going to see what it comes up with me. Here we go. So it's writing. Now, look, those of you who have done podcast show notes, it's like, oh my gosh, it's kind of formatting it like that's pretty cool. Doing all this. All right, cool. All right, so I'm gonna scroll back up and let's look at this. And y'all, I'll keep this, I'll post this in the show notes. I'm not, I'll copy edit some of this, see if I use it. Episode title, the AI Odyssey, Navigating the Landscape of Artificial Intelligence. That's not what I asked for. I said it's gonna be These Aren't the Droids You're Looking For. Introduction, welcome to These Aren't the Droids You're Looking For, your go-to podcast for insightful discussions on all things AI. In this episode, we embark on an AI odyssey, delving deep into the vast landscape of artificial intelligence. Our aim is to provide you with a clear understanding of the current state, potential, and ethical considerations surrounding AI. So it's giving me like this, and this is where it can be nice as a planning tool. It is really just getting you from I can't think of anything to, oh, well, I can certainly edit, and critique what you just gave me. That's what it can do. So you'll see it like added all these things in here about here are some potential things. And a lot of this is coming from the discussions currently happening on the internet about AI. So it's pulled that into here. Now, let me repeat that. It's pulled that into here. I don't know what happened to my voice just then. So wrap ups, AI Odyssey is reshaping industries, essential to approach it with caution. Yes, yes, yes. Please bear in mind this episode has been carefully copy edited by AI to ensure accuracy and clarity. I love that it says that. It's like self-aware, Skynet. Human oversight remains crucial to maintain the quality of information. Yes. Yes. So this segues nicely. I wanted to show you all this because maybe I'm also going to do this. So, okay, just wrote all that for me. Okay. Now rewrite it with a country music tone. I don't know. I just pulled that out of thin air. Let's see what it does. Yep, that did it. Now it's got stuff like Wrangling the Wild West. So it's super fun to play around with. All right. And it will add tone of voice and things like that. It can do a whole heck of a lot. It can do a whole heck of a lot, y'all, with what you ask for it to do. But I want to go back to what it said about itself is it's meant to be edited. And that brings me to shiny point number 2. And I'll stop sharing my screen now. So it is great for catapulting you in from blank nothingness into somethingness, but you copy edit the shit out of it. Okay. I actually use, and I'm going to refer to this in my tooltip at the end of this episode. I use a premium AI writing tool at work. And even then, I am always going in because there will be times it might repeat itself. I've actually seen where it uses almost the same sentence in the same project I'm trying to do, same page essentially, and it's too similar, so it makes it redundant. So, and it's not, so like I said, it's not perfect. This is where the human factor comes in. It's great that it got me from nothing to something, but then I've got to make sure, as I'm the expert in whatever job or deliverable I am completing, I will need to add my expertise. Maybe I need to add stats. I need to add verification. I need to vet quotes. I can't tell you how many times I have used AI generated copy and it's pulling a quote from some random thing because it thinks, hey, maybe that'll be helpful. And then I'm like, no, I have seen quotes from Hitler. I've seen quotes. I'm not kidding. It will pull things based on that. So, and am I saying AI is racist? No, but I am going to refer to something else in a moment about that. But you do need to copy it. Never, ever, ever, ever have AI generate something for you and then you just copy and paste that without reading it thoroughly. And I always recommend reading things out loud. AI can generate copy for you. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to roll off the tongue and say what you wanted to say. It's great for getting you to the point where you can edit, though. Okay. So copy edit the crap out of it. And like I said, if you get something, if I wanted to, I could say, you know what, I want you to rewrite the wrap up in a different tone altogether. You can piecemeal things out and have it take another tack. I don't find that to be lazy. I know there are some purists out there who are fully against AI. They're like, no, you should write, if you're a writer, do your job. And it's like, absolutely. Have you seen my task list, my deadlines, and the fact that people are insisting that maybe an AI can get all this stuff done before I can? Reality's a business, y'all. I think it's totally fine for copywriters out there to be using AI to get you farther along in your projects, to be that helper, right? But not to replace what you do. Okay. So we've already covered getting from blank page. It's great for that. You have to copy edit the shit out of it. And then lastly, and this is the biggie, and this is where my good friend Sandy commented earlier, there's always going to be nuance. Okay. So one thing you do need to be aware of from AI is bias. That can appear. Again, remember, it is culling the internet to churn up something for you that is remotely, it thinks it's accurate to what you asked for. A lot of this can come into how you write your prompts, and I do want y'all to play around with that. You can get a radically different result based on the kind of prompt you enter. But do y'all remember, go back with me a little bit, even if you never used Twitter, now known as X, but a few years ago, a Twitter account was created and it was purely AI. And within 24 hours, that Twitter account turned completely racist. Like, it was dropping the N word. It was calling people out, stereotyping, going against, people of particular backgrounds and things like that, because it was ingesting what it was getting from other Twitter users. And then it just went around and said, well, that's what I learned. There's a lot of lessons to be taken from that. That you can, that's that nature versus nurture. That was nurturing that Twitter account into, and so it got shut down. Now, has ChatGPT done that? I think you could probably ask people I just mentioned too. I mean, you can get results sometimes where it is absolutely not keeping any of that nuance in mind, and it could have inherent bias. I have a good friend, Rachel Couples, who is a recruiter at Textio, and they talk about this a lot. They work in AI and it helps for recruiting, but they certainly address how biases can really enter into the copywriting or editing that you're getting from AI. And if you're not careful and you're not looking at it through that lens of like trying to consider all of your audiences, could it be skewed or interpreted certain ways by a audience of a particular background? Possibly. That's what you have to be aware of. Anytime you're working with something that is open source like that, and it's learning from the internet, it's learning from all the internet, not just the rosy sunshine and puppies places that you visit. Okay. So those are the three things I wanted to drop in there about AI. Worth experimenting with. Don't trust it fully. I mean, it's just it's a machine. And Terminator does give us, the nasty side of AI where it turned into Skynet and destroyed the planet. Okay. And then you've got, you've got back to Star Wars where they're able to easily manipulate droids and things like that. It can be manipulated, and it's very helpful, but you always take it with at least a few grains of salt as you're using AI and trying to incorporate that into your workflow. Okay. And Sandy, I see your comment there too. I wonder if writers who don't like AI also shun spell check. Right? How dare you rely on something else to make sure you're correct? Like, oh my God. And you'd be surprised how many people I run across who don't even use spell check. And I'm like, it's the easiest thing ever. By the way, yeah. So here, this leads to my tooltip. My tooltip recommendation for this episode is writer.com, WRITER.com. It is, and I did apply for them at one point. I didn't get the job, but I was so impressed with what their tool does, especially for content teams. I actually use it for my team at my current job as a branding and communications director. So writer.com is it is AI. It is an AI tool, and it does a few things. Not only can it help you write just about anything, it's got a feature in it called Ask Writer, and you can like say, hey, I need you to write me a greeting card for my dad's 75th birthday, which is coming up in like 2 years. But I could do that, or I could say, I need you to write me a white paper that has these 6 points in it, and make sure you include a stat from here, and you include that stat. So it can help you write a ton of stuff. But even better than that is it also, because you're paying for it, it's going to learn from things you have already done in it. So it's going to learn from not necessarily the whole internet, but it's going to learn from your own inputs into, well, here's what you rewrote in here. So now it's going to start learning from how you want it to write, and the topics you're having it write on in the industry you're having it write on. So it's very kind of niche based on what you need to write about. Plus, it has a writing style guide that it incorporates in there too, where you can set up your whole writing style for your company and share that out via a public URL. I love that. Oh, and the best part I like about this too. So I'm a big fan of inclusive language, but also readability. Not enough of us look at that. I used to work for a government website, or I managed a government website, and I had a lot of people inputting onto that website, and it often included a lot of policy. And so people with master's degrees and doctorates tend to write policy. Not necessarily something you'd see on a grocery aisle for someone who may be just a high school graduate. Yet that was the audience they were writing for, and they often were using so much legalese in this policy language that gets to readability. And one thing I love about Writer is that as you write things, it helps score those things and will help you really go through and highlight, say, hey, this sentence is really long. Think about breaking it up. This sentence sounds like this sentence. You should rewrite one of them. I see that you didn't use a contraction here, but used one here, and your contractions are your style guide, so you should change that. So it's super helpful. And again, like, no shame in using AI to get shit done. Okay. Small yet mighty teams. I'm talking to you. It can be a big boon. Now, maybe you can't afford a paid service like writer.com. Maybe you are using Chat GPT. Again, they're different in that where they're sourcing from and kind of what their purposes are. ChatGPT is being used by literally everybody. Just be mindful. You need to kind of know what you're dealing with before you decide to just use it whole hog. Okay. So writer.com, love it. I'll link to it in the show notes. But that is about, again, I will always try to do a Star Wars reference. AI, these aren't the droids you're looking for. But you can still have a good relationship with the droids, and the droids help you do stuff and make your life a little bit easier. Just companies out there, this isn't your one end all be all solution to replacing humans with machines. Don't do that. Okay, stop. All right. Thank you all for listening and listening to this episode of Marketing XP. If you like the show, please follow us, subscribe to us, review. Love them reviews. I work in marketing. We love all the reviews. It's how we know if these are any good. So please let us know how we're doing. Also, if you visit the website, you know what? And I should have done this earlier. Let me put my little chat captions up. If you visit my website, it's But Wait, There's More. Come on. But wait, there's more.com/marketingxp. You'll see a link to the podcast there. There's a form too, should be one on just about every podcast page, where if you have a topic you'd like to suggest for a future episode, I will take that into consideration. I have a lot. I've got about 40 more episodes planned that I'm just like, these are short, sweet, little things about marketing that I think people should know. And if you don't, then you should, and you'll be a better marketer for it. So thank you all for hanging with me. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. Okay, so that was episode, let's see, this is season 1, episode 5 I just recorded or just broadcast. Thank you all for being part of that. Let me go ahead and change out my tickers, and I'm going to change to the next one. All right, this next one's going to be about Maslow. I think I first learned about Maslow, Abraham Maslow, when I was finishing my degree in my 20-year college journey. I finished my degree in 2014, and I finished in communications, and Maslow came up. So that's what we're going to be talking about next. Again, feel free to chat. If I see you, I will acknowledge you. And again, your comment might make it onto the official podcast as it gets pushed out onto things like Spotify and Apple and things like that, and the show notes. All right. Let me go to the next one. Boop. No. Come on, you got this. Let me find the next one. Looking up in my... Oh, let me do my due diligence and actually mark that I did record this one. So I bulleted out the episodes. This is what ClickUp's letting me do. I love it. Completed. Do broadcast. Their boss. Okay, good. I did that. Okay. Now we're moving on to this next episode. And I'll kick it off like we're brand new. Welcome back for another episode of the Marketing XP podcast. I am your host, as always, Rachel Moore. And today's episode is Maslow might have been a marketer. If you have not heard of Maslow, that would be Abraham Maslow. He is the creator of this thing we call Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, this all chases down to pyramids, y'all. We're all familiar with pyramids in some way, shape, or form. Emphasis on shape. Might be the pyramids of Giza. They might be the food pyramid, which has been totally debunked because, my God, y'all, I do not need 6+ helpings of bread every day. I think I've proven that over my entire lifetime. Also pyramid schemes. We've all heard of pyramid schemes. Just think of that friend of yours who keeps asking you to host a party, and some people might be watching this. I have done that in the past. The parties can be super fun, but I've learned a long time ago, I'm like, I am not going to be selling any of that stuff. But the parties can be fun. But, pyramids abound. We all know them, right? But the most important pyramid for marketers, as it relates to this podcast and this episode, was created by this dude named Abraham Maslow. And he created something called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So it is a pyramid, and I am going to share my screen so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Let me go ahead and open this, and I will share Mr. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So you'll see, obviously, there is a pyramid shape in here, but, the stinky thing about pyramids is you start running out of room at the top. So obviously this has been formatted a little bit. And this is from simplypsychology.org. I want to credit them for those of you seeing this. But basically it's talking about, look, every human being out there has 5 levels of needs that they want addressed in order to achieve their full satisfaction as a human being. Now, we could wax philosophical about this and realize that, well, most people don't probably achieve all these things, or maybe they do for certain portions of their life. We could get into that. But what I want to focus on with you today is why Maslow's hierarchy of needs is important for us marketers. Because this really gets into the who am I writing for? What do they need right now? And how can my marketing message meet them where they're at? Okay. So going to cover a few things. First of all, and if you go to simplypsychology.org, and I will link to the webpage I referred to pull up this, show the image that you're seeing if you're watching the video of this. But essentially, it's got 5 levels to the pyramid. And as with any pyramid, you've got the wider base. That's the bottom level. And then as it goes up, it narrows up to the apex. Okay. So we're working from bottom to top when we talk about this pyramid. So as Maslow developed these hierarchy of needs, and he's kind of, he's assessing what does a typical human being need / want in their lives. The bottom 4 rows, and I just realized I'm not sharing my screen to my broadcast folks. So let me do that because that's terrible. Okay, let me do this here. You know what? I did solo. Bert, don't want to do solo. There we go. That's way better. All right. So now you can actually see the pyramid. It's great. You guys, the magic of editing is going to make this so much better later. But those of you who are watching the broadcast or the replay of it, you get all of this in real time. It's awesome. But, I'm not perfect. So there. Let me take a drink of water. All right. First, let's cover something that Maslow called the deficiency needs. So he talked about these are things that if they are not present in a human's life, they are deficient. They have a deficiency, they have a gap that's can be kind of major for them before one could even try to get to one where one is growing as a human being. But the deficiency needs basically are the bottom 4 tiers of this 5-tier pyramid. So again, starting at the bottom, you talk about the physiological needs. So I want each of you to think about this. If you did not have air, you didn't have enough oxygen and couldn't breathe. If you didn't have water or food, or you don't have shelter, or you're not getting enough sleep, you don't have clothing, or you're not able, there's reproduction and we don't have that as humans. All of these are physiological needs that if we lack these things, our life is in danger. Okay. So, and obviously, some of you may be able to think about people who might have asthma. The air thing is real. Some of you might be like, well, we have oxygen, it's fine. Yeah. But there are some people who have trouble with that. Clean drinking water. There are parts of the United States right now that have to use bottled water or boil their water because the drinking water is not sourced right. It's bad. Food, obviously, there are food deserts. There are people who are begging for food and meals every day. I think about free lunches at school, and they're trying to, a lot of times that might be the best meal of the day for some children out there. Okay. Shelter. Hello. I don't know if y'all have seen the housing market lately. And I just can tell you right now, there's no way I'd afford my home today. And even we're talking about people renting apartments. There's no college graduate out there or college student is able to afford. We're talking about my son. He's graduating high school in a year. He's not going to be able to afford an apartment by himself. There's no way. There's no way. A friend of mine is her 2 daughters are looking for help with their apartment. It's just impossible with prices now. So what about sleep? If you're not able to sleep, I mean, whether someone's an insomniac or they have anxiety, I've been there where you're not getting enough sleep. And let's all think about the Nightmare Before Elm Street, man. We saw what was happening to people when they were not able to sleep because Freddy Krueger was coming after them. So that's a big thing. Clothing, reproduction, those are the basic needs of a human. So typically, before any human's going to listen to your message, they need those needs met. Now, some of you out there might be marketers for organizations that actually help meet these physiological needs. In that instance, your message is going to meet the bare, necessities of that audience, where it's like, we have a food kitchen. Go here. There is a shelter over here. There are free blankets here. Asthma, we have nebulizers or things like that. You're really gonna, if someone sees that message and it's gonna make sure that these needs are met, probably gonna get some rapid response. Okay. Well, then we move on up. Let's say that those needs mostly are met. Then we have the safety needs, which is about health. It's employment to make sure you have, you can earn your living. You've got property, somewhere to be. We just talked about rent. Family, social ability. So you have those things that are kind of like, okay, now that I've got my basic physiological needs met, what do I need to make it day to day as a human in this society? Okay. Then we move up to love and belonging, which includes friendship. You want to have relationships, intimacy, senses of connection. So as human beings, even if we're super introverts, there's always going to be that need for like, but I need to connect with somebody. I need to feel like I relate to somebody. And And then we move up to esteem. So we're talking about a person's confidence, their sense of respect for themselves and for others, needing to feel unique, that they're achieving things, being recognized, they have freedom and things like that. So just went through those 4 tiers. Now, let's really quick talk about 2. So those are the deficiency needs. So again, if those things are missing, you're talking about a deficient human being. And again, it may not be their fault at all. It might just be the circumstances and society they live in. It can have a lot of subjectivity to there, which we'll talk about as the third point. The second point I want to bring up is the growth need. Now, those bottom 4 are the deficiency needs that you want to make sure someone meets. But then you get to self actualization, where the desire to be the most that one can be. That's about being moral, being creative, being a spontaneous person, being accepted, having a sense of purpose and meaning and potential in this life. That's where you can kind of grow. So, as we're looking at this pyramid, right now, for any marketer that is listening to this podcast or watching the broadcast, you probably right now are thinking, okay, my marketing role, what am I selling? Because you're selling something. What am I messaging about? What do I want someone to get to? They need to go buy a product or service that I'm messaging about. But all of this is about feelings. So, however you get that person to where they're going to buy the product or service that you're messaging about, you want to try to drill into, like, okay, which tier or tiers can I work with in Maslow's hierarchy of needs as I message to my audience? Now, I mentioned earlier, if you happen to be, maybe you work for the Red Cross or something like that, you're going to be messaging about that bottom tier, the physiological needs. But maybe, like myself, I used to work for a B2B SaaS tool. We were trying to get people to adopt it in their MarTech stack. Maybe that's more about the esteem tier, where they want to be recognized as being the person that solved, hey, I'm the one who found this tool and now we use it in our company and everything's easier. They're going to get recognized for that maybe their ROI increases. Or it could even drive back down to the safety needs, which includes employment. Maybe someone's job is hanging in the balance to see if they can come up with a solution, but you, as the marketer to that person, have the solution and you're trying to, hey, let me bring you along to realize this solution can actually save your job, or it can help you feel recognized. Maybe you get a promotion, and you feel respected at work. So there's so many ways that the different needs in this pyramid, this hierarchy, can correlate directly and help inform what you are messaging based on what you want your audience to do. Okay. So I encourage anyone, any marketer who is listening to or watching this, and y'all, this can go for someone in sales as well. If you don't understand the needs of your customer, you're not going to be able to strike a chord with them and meet them where they're at, so that you can bring them into the next step that you want to bring them into. So this could go for sales, customer service, marketing for sure. But Maslow, that's why I say Maslow might have been a marketer. I mean, all of these things deal with human experience, and all of us have needs. And so this leads to the third point. Um, I mentioned that, like, based on a specific goal you want to have the person achieve for you as you market to them, you could be dealing with the second tier, the safety needs, or you might be dealing with esteem, fourth tier. Chances are your audience is complex and they might have multiple needs that are not being met within this hierarchy that you can message to. And that's where testing comes in. This is also where surveys come in. You can learn a lot about the audience you're trying to reach by asking them questions, asking how they feel. Do you feel secure in your job? Do you feel respected as you choose tools for work? Are you the decision maker for your company's products and purchases? Do you feel that people respect your decisions with that? Do you feel it's hard? Is it difficult, challenging? You can do ranked questions here. How difficult do you find it to try to stay in budget, yet finding the tools that your company needs? You can learn a lot of this stuff that is going to directly inform, okay, where is that person sitting on this And again, it might be a spectrum here. Where's that person sitting on my Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Now, how do I craft messaging to reach them? Okay. You're going to hear a lot of these episodes talk about the humanity around marketing. Because we're talking to humans. I get hangry. I got a little hangry today. If someone was trying to, like, if I was scrolling my feed on social era, I was really not going to care about anything that wasn't food related. That's just the way it is. So you just never know where your audience member is at that moment. Then if you get fed, or what if I have a health need, I'm having some kind of like health scares going on lately. And fortunately, a lot of them are being alleviated and kind of, I'm being reassured about them. But if I'm scared about that stuff, how much do you think I'm going to care about? Like, well, yeah, I really need to make sure that I feel respected. At this point, I'm just trying to live, right? So I just point that out because you do have a complex audience and complex customers. Um, I have a feeling you're going to want to have a broader approach where you're not just focusing on one thing. Okay. You want to try to incorporate and test and see like which one of these things is resonating with my customers. So for the tool tip I have today, does not have anything. Well, it kind of does. Let's say that this probably has more to do with like safety needs, personal security, property, and things like that. The tool tip I'm going to relate to you today is transferwise.com. And actually, let me just make sure of something. Are they Wise or TransferWise? Yeah, they're called Wise, actually. So they used to be called TransferWise, and now it's wise.com. I actually got referred to this by a gentleman I used to help with podcasting. But I've been using this actually. It's an internationally accepted and versatile online bank. So I have, for those of you, especially if you have a business or something like that, you're maybe you freelance, maybe, but you have some way that you receive money or can transfer money and send money. And maybe you don't just do it in your country, but you need to do it internationally. I like TransferWise because it does help me. And actually, let me take this off the screen. I just realized that I will get better at this. Yes, I will. But I use wise.com for my entrepreneurial banking needs. And it comes in handy because I do have international clients, people in India, people in the UK, and also people in the United States. And I'm able to provide banking information based on what they need, because I don't know if you are aware of this, but some other countries need a specific banking codes that go beyond like an ACH or a routing number. And TransferWise or wise.com gives that to you. It lets you give that, and it works just great. I put it on my invoices, and I get my payments seamlessly. I'm able to easily transfer them over to my joint banking account or save in there. And it's got a lot of cool tools in there too that'll let you set up savings and things like that. So I really like it. Highly recommend it. It's just a great tool to have. And like I said, super versatile if you're looking for a trusted online bank. I've had a really good experience with them. That is all for this episode of Marketing XP. Once again, please subscribe to us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Review. I want your reviews. I'd love, and by the way, you can comment if you go to my website, which is but wait till there's more.com and /marketing XP. You can find the podcast, you can find the specific episode. There's ability to comment on every single one. I would love to hear which of y'all, as you're looking at your marketing messaging, and what tier or tiers you can probably hammer down on as you're communicating with your customers, go drop that in a comment on the podcast page. I would love to see that. And let's compare notes. Let's talk about how we're doing that. But thank you all for listening. And again, if you have any suggestions for future topics, you can also do that at butwaitthere'smore.com /marketing XP. You can also follow this to see all the live recordings of these podcasts on my YouTube channel, Marketing XP, on Twitch, and also on LinkedIn, where I am Rachel Has the Mic, because I do. All right. Thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you next time on another episode of Marketing XP. All right. That was the episode number 6 of season 1. And now we're going to move on. I love this topic too much. I really do. I just love it way too much. Let me do something really quick here and get something ready here. Okay. All right. Good. I love this topic. It makes me happy. Okay. Let me get another drink of agua. It's the last one today. All right. Moving right along. Welcome back for another episode of Marketing XP, the podcast that is your cheat code to being a smarter and possibly savvier marketer. Is savvier a word? I know savvy. I like the word savvy. I think didn't Jack Sparrow say savvy a lot? I love that word. I don't know why. And it's not like I like Jack Sparrow a whole lot, but I do love that word. Welcome to you savvy marketers, though. Thanks for joining here. I am your host, of course, Rachel Moore. And you all, I am going to refer to you now. And if we build some community around this podcast, you shall henceforth be known as my little urchins. Yeah, that's a little bit of a ripoff from Lady Gaga, where she calls her audience her little monsters. I'm going to call you all my little urchins, and it will make a lot of sense as we dig into today's topic, which is, let me go over to my show notes. This is why editing is my friend. Today's topic is UTMs, the breadcrumbs of business marketing. What is a UTM? I am constantly stunned by how many marketing and comms professionals I know in the universe that I occupy don't know what a UTM is. That's cringe, y'all. You're about to know what it is. And once you know what it is, you're never going to not use them. You will always use UTMs. I think of Hansel and Gretel. Do y'all remember that? It's such an old school fairy tale, but Hansel and Gretel go in the forest, and actually they're I think they're one of their parents, and it might be a step parent. It's always a step parent. Is trying to lose them in the forest, but they'll leave breadcrumbs so that they can find their way back. So that story gets really dark. Let's not go there. You can go look it up. But UTMs are essentially your breadcrumbs to figure out how people are finding their way to your website. Okay. Why wouldn't you use something like that? Especially those of you out there who are using omni-channel marketing. And when I say that, I'm talking about, well, I'm trying to market our website in emails. And I'm also putting it out on social media. And we try to put them out in referrals and stuff like that. We have affiliate marketing. And maybe we actually advertise on podcasts. Or you do a TV ad on the Super Bowl. If anyone's listening to this and are doing that, give me a shout out, because man, that's some top tier listening. You got some budget. Let's talk. But you will want to know which of those methods worked the best. Who brought you the most traffic? And more to the point, did they bring you traffic to your website that resulted in conversions, in sales? Did you get emails out of it? You want to know why those channels are performing well, because then you know where to spend your time. Time is money. Y'all, there's so many reasons to use UTMs. Well, let's get into this. So UTM stands for Urchin Tracking Module. That is in no way intuitive, but here's why it's called that. Urchin is the company that first devised this method, this tool, this feature of making a website link trackable, so that you could, as someone got to your website, it's got all this code on the link that tells you exactly where that person originated from. And you get to save that in your reports. Now, Google bought Urchin, but they never changed the name from UTMs, Urchin Tracking Module. This is why it's still called that. It's also why I'm calling you my little urchins. But that's exactly what happened with it, and that's what they are. So I'm going to walk you through this. Now, I'm going to have to share my screen a little bit. For those of you listening, I will certainly link to some of these images and screenshots in the show notes. First of all, let's think about your website, your.com. When I say your, this may not be your personal website. It's probably your business website. Okay. So whatever .com, .net, .biz, .info, whatever, .org, .gov, whatever you're using, That is your gold. That is your Rome. You are trying to make everybody, it's like all roads lead to Rome. That's where you're trying to get people to go to. That is the end all be all, the ultimate destination, because probably on your website, you have a means to capture people's emails, or you have shopping carts where they can buy things, which means they convert as a sale, right? You want to get them to your website. So let's do this. I'm going to share the screen, and let me just change what I'm sharing here. I'm actually going to share a window because that will make more sense. There we go. Okay. So you all, let me add this to my screen. So you all should be seeing, I am showing you my.com, but wait, there's more.com. All right. So there's my website. And okay, I'm going to go over to my podcast, Marketing XP, and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to go to the actual podcast. Okay. So, okay, cool. Oh my gosh. I really want people to go check out my podcast. So let's say you're about to share your website link. I have my website link here, but wait, there's more.com // marketing XP / podcast. I want to go share that out. So I might be inclined, you might be inclined to grab the URL or the web address, the link of your website, and just go plop that right in a LinkedIn post or a tweet, or you're going to go drop it in an email. You're going to go hyperlink it on some text, and you're grabbing and going. Okay. But wait, I don't want you to do that, because before you share it anywhere or everywhere that you want to share it, don't you want to be able to distinguish where you're sharing that link and then which one is resulting in the best traffic for you? Yes, you do. And I'm just going to switch over to chat. Are UTMs tracked with cookies? No. Cookies is something different. That's web crawler stuff, Sandy. It's why, I mean, you see this a lot. This especially came into play after GDPR hit Europe. But it's why you see so many companies will say, are you okay with us tracking all cookies or just some of the most relevant ones? Cookies is basically all the other data. So here's where this could mean. Let's say I use HubSpot. There's all these like customer resource managers out there, tools out there. And Sandy, let's say that you have visited, maybe just today, you went and visited, but wait, there's more.com. But I don't have your email. You just were visiting it randomly. Okay. But maybe you started like, oh, I'm going to go visit a couple of your podcast pages and a blog page. Ooh, and I'm going to go check out your speaker page. Okay. But I don't have your email at this point. Now, let's say though that I do, on my website, I have a contact form saying, hey, if you want to contact me about stuff, go ahead. You at no point did you ever like put your email in there, but finally, maybe a year down the road, you're like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to go fill out that form and put my email in there. Once I have that, my system has that, and now it's got your email. But here's the thing. Up until now, it has been tracking you. It's been saying, okay, there's a user at this IP address and they keep visiting all these things on your website. We're recording that. We have no idea who this person is. Once I get your email, the cookies come together. All right. So the cookies are like tracking. That's how they're tracking all the information they can gather about you. But now once I've got your email, once you fill out my form, I have your name, if your email, maybe you give me a phone number, whatever. Maybe I get your address. Now my little system inside is going to say, oh my God, we finally figured out who this person is. And so they'll be like, okay, well, here's Sandy. Here's her email and everything. And by the way, we've been recording her activity on your website. Now that she's filled out that form, we know it was her. So she visited this blog 3 different times. She visited this blog twice. She visited this podcast episode 5 times. Whoa. She really likes your speaker page. But now I've got all those cookies and the tracking has worked to where now I know, okay, great. Apparently she visited that podcast page 5 times. I should send her an email about maybe a follow-up episode I did on that same topic. Cookies are tracking. It does relate a little bit to crumbs though, right? But as you all are going through the internet, I should do a whole episode on this. Maybe I'll save this as part of it. As you all traipse your way through the internet, it's like you're munching cookies and you're leaving crumbs literally everywhere. And the internet is smart. And it's trying to say, well, I know what crumbs you drop, Sandy. Rachel, I know what crumbs you're dropping as you go through all the like 50 to 70 websites you do per day. I don't know if I even hit that many. I think I go to a few many times. It's tracking all that. But that's why when you go to when you go to new websites and it says, will you allow cookies? It's basically saying, do you mind if we gather up your cookie crumbs and save that data? If you say yes, you gave them permission. So that way, if you ever do give them your email, they're going to know those are your cookie crumbs. I don't know if that helps. Let me know in the chat. I obviously I love talking about this stuff. I got to go back to where I was. Where was I talking about? Okay. So let's go back to that link from your website that you want to go. I need to take a drink of water. That was a lot of words. All right. So you've got your .com website address. Now maybe it's a landing page. It probably is. Let's say you're about to go share it. I'm going to go hyperlink it in a sales email that a few of our salespeople are sending out. I'm also going to go put it in a LinkedIn post. Okay. So now you've got your two links, and you have one link. So let's use my website as an example. Maybe this is the link I want to go drop in both those methods, those channels. But I can add an extra layer of tracking who is coming to this page and how. And that is by creating UTM link that is a version of this link, but it has a bunch of code at the end of it. I'm about to show you how. But the reason you want to do that is because now you're going to make a unique link. You're going to be like, well, there's one link for the sales email and there's one for my LinkedIn post. But now I'll be able to track. So I'll get to how we track that in a moment and where it's tracked. But I want to create a UTM link. So let's get to point 2. That is when you want to add UTM parameters or values to this website link. Now, if any of you are right now, let's say you're on your laptop or your mobile, and there is an ad appearing somewhere on the page. Okay. Let me just see if there's one that would appear anywhere here. Let me back out of here. I'm just going to go back to something I clicked on earlier. Let's see. Okay, here we go. I'm sharing this on my screen. Do y'all see there's an Arapahoe Basin ad on this page? So I'm going to click on it. Well, I hope I am. It's not a good ad. Wow. It's a pretty bad ad, actually. Here we go. There's Walmart. Let's try that. Okay, I can click on this. Ready? I'm going to click on this ad. All right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up through here. See how there's all this stuff that's added at the end of this. And all this is kind of like telling you, okay, where did this come from? Let me just see if it's got so they've got shelf ID. They added a bunch of these codes on here, which whether you realize it or not, this is going to be helping Walmart figure out where did you click on this from? And if it turns out they get a lot of people clicking on this from that same website page, they'll know they need to keep putting that ad on that page. They're like, well, we're getting a lot of traffic from there. That was some very specific custom things here. You got refined results and stuff like that. Part of that might have to do with the search terms, but there's always code that happens on links. And if you click on any ads, you're going to find that same thing where it's like, okay, I just invite you as you click on an ad, or let's say you click on a link that's on a page that may not have much to do with that page, but you're interested in it. So you're going to go click on it. Just go look at the link. Is it after the .com? Is there stuff? That's tracking. And you can create that same thing. So remember I said I'd want to share out this website link, but wait, there's more.com /marketingXP /podcast. But I'm going to share it out on a LinkedIn post and a sales email. So what I want to do is create specific UTM links for each of those channels. So there is this free tool, and everything I'm talking about is free right now. You should all be using it. It's great. There's a free tool. It's Google's campaign URL builder. So remember, I know we talked about UTMs, the breadcrumbs of business marketing. They're UTM codes. You're basically building a new URL, and it's super easy what happens here. So let's try this out, everybody. So I'm going to go copy this particular link. I'm going to go over here. Again, a free website, free landing page. I'm going to paste my URL in there. So that's the link that I could normally use without adding UTMs on it. But I do want to add more stuff. So you'll notice it's got stars in here. It's saying, well, we have to have these values. And I'll explain a little bit about each of these. The things you absolutely want to fill in are source, medium, and name. Okay. So let's say that I am pushing out. I'm this is part of an effort. I want to get more podcast listeners. Okay. I want to drive people to my podcast. So I may have a campaign name called podcast. Like, well, I want to get my podcast out there. Maybe actually, you know what I should do? Let me name it Marketing XP. What if I have a different podcast? Well, I should be specific. And this can be anything you want it to be. You could call it unicorn, and it has nothing to do with, but like that's what I want to call it. I love this campaign. You can call whatever you want. I tend to find it easier when I'm like, well, this is part of an overarching. I want this to be an effort, a campaign effort I'm doing. Okay, so I said, okay, Marketing XP is a campaign name. Now is where we get to how am I telling the link, and how am I going to track where I'm sharing this link? So first it's saying, well, the source, then maybe that's Google or newsletter. Remember I said, well, I'm going to send it in a LinkedIn post. I'm going to put LinkedIn as that campaign source. And maybe I'm going to do it. Okay, on LinkedIn, I have some options. I'm live broadcasting to LinkedIn right now. Well, this won't be a live video. Am I placing an ad on LinkedIn? No. Am I adding this link in my portfolio on my profile? No. But what I am doing is I'm putting it in a feed post. Now, y'all call whatever you want. You can call it a post, call it a feed post. Um, Maybe you're going to go share this somewhere else where it's like, hey, this is going to be in a story, or something like that. But I'm going to say feed post. I know what that means. I'm like, okay, that's going to appear in the central feed. It's an organic post. There you go. So that's what I'm going to call it. I have filled in now the 3 required values. I said, well, this is part of my campaign Marketing XP. There's a bunch of ways I want to get people listening to my podcast. I'm going to share this particular link on LinkedIn, and I'm going to share it in a post, which means I'm basically just going to go pop this link that I get into a new post. It's going to generate a preview. I'll have a little caption on it, maybe a hashtag or two, hashtag Marketing XP, and then I'm going to post it. So I want you to look down below. I have added some values in here. Look down. Look at this. So it's created a longer link that now has some code on it. Now, here's why this is important, because it's a link that's going to work. So it's got the whole here's how to get to it, but notice then you got this little question mark, and after that, UTM source. What did we fill out up here? A campaign source, and it's calling it a UTM because that's what this is. It's a breadcrumb. UTM source equals LinkedIn because that's what I gave it. It says, and UTM medium, she's going to share it through a feed post, and then UTM campaign is Marketing XP. Okay, so I can do that. It also has some means as well for y'all. If you have Bitly and stuff like that, you can shorten your link. If you're hyperlinking, you may not need to. And even on a LinkedIn post, you won't need to, because once it generates that preview, you can actually remove the link, and the link is in the image or the preview that it's showing. People can click on it. But I'll show you this too. Now, maybe, and this is going to drive to the next point I'm going to show you, because all of this ends up somewhere. You're not just doing it where like, well, I'm telling it what to track, but where am I supposed to see this? Wait. Maybe instead, it's Marketing XP. This is maybe I'm going to the podcast, and maybe this is in show notes. Okay. Because I have done that. Maybe I have this. So this is on the podcast. I'm going to be posting this via Libsyn. It's going to appear on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, everything like that. And okay, well, I'm going to put a link in the show notes that people can click to get to the Marketing XP page. Okay, well, now it's updated my link down here, and there you go. Okay, so now I'm ready to copy this link, and now I'll go put it on LinkedIn. And notice again too, remember I mentioned maybe sales email is the thing you're going to do. So maybe instead this is a sales, and I'm putting this as a email hyperlink. Now, quickly on this too, whatever you do, one note about this, if you start using terms in here, stay consistent. What you don't want to do is say, well, email hyperlink all together, and then another time you do email underscore hyperlink. Because where we're about to go, it's going to distinguish those things. That's the whole point of this, is it's going to parse these out and give you some unique tracking. So anyway, so now I've got my links based on the scenario we just talked about. Okay, great. I went and used those links. Sales emails went out with the link. My LinkedIn feed post went up. And maybe I added this link in my show notes on my podcast. So what you want to do then, and marketers, If you don't have Google Analytics set up for your website, why? It's free. You should absolutely do it. You will get the gold mine of all the data you need about who's coming to your website, which pages are they visiting, how often are they visiting, where are people going as they move from page to page to page. Are you creating a user path? Are they coming from social? Are they coming from ads? You can even set up goals in here where it's like, shoot, if I get an email address after somebody has listened to my podcast and now they want like, a quote for services, how much is that worth to me? You can actually add that in here and show that magic thing, ROI, return on investment. But here's what I'm going to show you. So, I have used UTM links before. So what I have on my screen, I'm letting y'all see this. Please keep in mind my podcast is new. These numbers will grow, maybe largely based on you. But I have gone into, and this is from GA4. This is the newest version of Google Analytics. Universal Analytics got sunsetted, but GA4 is the new way. I'm still getting used to it too. But traffic acquisition. I want to find out how people got to my website. Who drove the traffic? Remember, all roads lead to Rome. Roads have traffic. So it is people trafficking over to me. I shouldn't use that word trafficking. I'll probably edit that out. But that's how people are loading up onto these roads to get to me, whether that road is a sales email or whether that, through their inbox, maybe that road is their LinkedIn feed and they found it. But that's how people are getting to me. Now, because I entered a source and medium. Do you remember on the UTMs? I said, well, I want the source for that one example. I was like, I'm going to have my source be my podcast where this posts, and then I want the medium. It's going to be a link in the show notes. Look at that. So because I did create a UTM link for one of my links to my website, it's showing me, I'm like, yeah, somebody clicked on the link in your show notes, and that's how they got to your website. It worked. Now, did it work a lot? Not yet. But I can also see, well, what else worked? Google Organic. I've got a LinkedIn.com referral. Some of these are coming from Facebook and Instagram. Cool. Those are apparently working better than my show notes, but I'm not going to stop using the show notes, but that also might tell me, I'm like, maybe I need to rework my show notes. Maybe the link needs to be higher up, more prominent, worded differently, but this gives me information. So again, I now have breadcrumbs. That podcast show notes link is someone's breadcrumbs that they dropped along the way, and that's how I know they got to my website. And I'll keep watching this. You can create a UTM link for any of, as long as you, and this again, this is going to be tracked in your Google Analytics. So that's where you want to make sure you have Google Analytics. It's got to be connected to your website, so it's tracking stuff. Y'all, you will geek out. It's so interesting to be able to see all this data. And again, it's all about those cookies, Sandy, all those cookie crumbs. That's all the stuff that it's tracking, and it's tracking people and how they're getting to your website, which pages, their user flow and everything. How long are they staying on your website? Are some of these pages, are they visiting them and leaving after 5 seconds? That's a pretty bad retention rate there. Time on the page, you want them to be longer. So, long-winded. This was a long episode, but I did answer a question. I'm probably going to use it. See, all this I will repurpose. I will use it. Maybe I'll turn it into a blog. But those are the 3 points about UTMs. Again, this is the urchin tracking model. You can use UTMs for short. A UTM link is essentially a link that's got all the coding in it that tells Google Analytics, and anyone with access to that Google Analytics for that website tells how people got there and what they did when they landed. So very important, all free, not free for the labor costs. It's a lot. It's time to put together, and it's time to assess. So worth it. And if you, my dear listener, start using UTMs on a regular basis, you too will be my little urchin, and you will graduate into urchinness, and it's amazing. Do it all the time. And of course, you might guess that my tooltip for today is Google Analytics. All right. There's no reason not to set it up. To set up Google Analytics, you'll either need access to the coding of your website. What it typically has you do, it has you add a little bit of HTML coding into the header or whatever appears on every page of your website, usually as a header or a footer. But it has you put it in there because that's how then Google's like, great, I've got access to every single one of your website pages, the new ones you create and the existing ones, and it can track what people do on those pages. So you need to do that. There is a way to do it through Google Tag Manager. That has eluded me. I don't know how to do it. Maybe I'll learn how to do it and do an episode. But that is a way to do it if you may not have access to the coding of your website, but you have some connectivity with your website. But you want to set it up, because the moment you do, it's going to start tracking who's visiting your website. You have all kinds of information, y'all. You can look at demographics, age groups, countries. What devices are they using? Are they using Apple more than Google? Android. Are they going through certain websites? Are you getting referral traffic from someone you don't know, where it's like, oh my gosh, someone must have posted this on their blog, or in their WhatsApp or Slack? How am I getting people? You want to know all this stuff. It makes you a better marketer, because then you have data to make decisions with. All right. Whew, that was a big mouthful. I wonder if this will be really interesting if I can keep this particular episode under 15 minutes. I don't know that I can. I'll have to do really stringent, but always remember, I've got the longer version on YouTube if needed. That'll work. Thank you all for listening. You are my little urchins, especially if you make sure you're starting to use UTMs. And y'all, if you run across someone who doesn't know what that means, just educate them quickly. And it's super easy. I mean, just literally go click on an ad on a web page that you're visiting, and you're probably going to see, oh, look, it's telling it's telling me and telling their Google Analytics where I clicked on this from. So do evangelize UTMs. They're amazing. They should be used by all marketers and even broader teams as well. And also, please use this podcast and use the review feature on your podcast app, wherever you're listening to this podcast. I love your ratings, because then I know if these are even worth it to you. But also, if you visit my website at, let me put the caption up, like I said I would. If you visit my website at butwaitthere'smore.com/marketingXP, you'll see a form there where you can suggest future topics, and I will take those under advisement. Love to tackle whatever you find interesting lately, or whatever you need. This is meant for you to level up your XP, your experience in marketing, because I have a lot. Do I know everything? No. But why can't we try to know everything? That'll be fun. All right. Thank you all for listening and watching. I hope you have a great rest of your whatever. And I'll see you on the future episode of Marketing XP. All right, y'all. Whew. Sandy, if you're still watching, thank you. It's always nice to see the little one person watching. I do these because sometimes I don't get like actual live viewers, but people watch the replays, and that works for me. And then these live on my YouTube channel and Twitch and stuff, and it's fine. All right. Thank you all. You, and when I say you all, I mean Sandy, but anyone else who might be watching the replay, thanks for hanging in there. Would love to hear your comments. Again, you should be able to comment on this on LinkedIn and I believe Twitch and YouTube, of course. But hope this was helpful. The audio podcast will be coming out once a week starting today. I'll get the first one out. The AI, these aren't the droids you're looking for. And then one every week thereafter. And then so in about a few weeks, I'll do another one of these to record some new episodes. Thank you all. I'm going to go. I think dinner's just about ready. So I'm going to have some dinner, and then I'm going to edit this into the podcast and blog. All right. Have a great day, everybody. And I will